Students, in the last class we have seen the terms and processes related to recombinant DNA technology, as well as we have seen the construction of a artificial recombinant molecule using recombinant DNA technology or genetic engineering that was created by Herbert Boyer. Okay, so during this recombinant DNA technology we have been used many things in that. One is DNA sequences we have used, enzymes we have used, vectors we have used, host organism we have used. Yes or no? So the recombinant DNA technology is nothing but you are going to combine two different DNA molecules. We are going to combine two different DNA molecules and we are going to form a new combination of the molecule. Right? So now let us see what are the tools that are required for the recombinant DNA technology. Yes or no? We have seen how the gene cloning has taken place, that was created by Herbert Boyer. Now we are going to see how this particular recombinant DNA technology is being performed, or what are the things that are required for this recombinant DNA technology. So some of the tools that are required is, see now what is happening in the recombinant DNA technology, we are going to cut a DNA sequence from the source. So we have seen already identification and isolation of the gene of interest. So from the source you are going to cut from the genomic DNA you are going to cut the gene of interest. The specific DNA sequence which is going to give you the desired product we are going to cut. So in order to cut that we need a set of enzymes, and one of those enzymes are nothing but they are the restriction enzymes. So I have already discussed or given the definition of this in the terms and processes. What are the restriction enzymes? They are the set of enzymes which is going to cut the DNA sequence at specific locations. Right? So the tools of the recombinant DNA technology, very much important is the restriction enzymes. If you are unable to cut a DNA sequence and join this DNA sequence to other DNA sequence, then you cannot form the recombinant DNA. Right? So restriction enzymes are one of the tools of the recombinant DNA technology. And another tool of recombinant DNA technology is vector. So the vectors also have given the definition. The vectors are nothing but they are the carriers of genes. Then they have the self-replicating capacity when they are linked to the DNA of the host organism. So they are going to take the DNA polymerase from the host organism and they are going to replicate the DNA. So whatever the DNA, the gene of interest which is going to be carried is getting replicated in the host organism by these vectors. So vector is once again, because if you are able to cut the DNA gene of interest, okay, but something has to carry it to the host organism and replicate it. Then only you are going to get the multiple copies of the recombinant DNA, and it is possible only through the vectors. So vectors are also very much important for forming the recombinant DNA technology. Another tool of recombinant DNA technology is competent host. Another important tool is competent host. Now what is this host, competent host? Now the vector is carrying the gene of interest into the host cell or into the recipient cell. Now the vector is carrying, good. Now the host also must have the capacity to take up this recombinant DNA. Now what is this recombinant DNA? The gene of interest, when it is linked with the vector, it is known as recombinant DNA. Now if the host is able to take up this recombinant DNA, then it is called as competent host. Simply the recipient cells will not take up the recombinant DNA. So you need to make the host to take up the recombinant DNA. There are the procedures for it, so that we will be seeing it in the later classes. Now we should know that the competent host is nothing but it is a capability of the host cell to take up the recombinant DNA. So it is very much important because you need to multiply the recombinant DNA, or you need to create the multiple copies of the recombinant DNA into the host cell only when it is competent. Next is polymerase enzyme. Yes, the DNA replication is going to take place with the help of the enzyme known as DNA polymerase. So, here to form the multiple copies, once again we need the polymerase enzyme. Last one is ligases. Now, what are these ligases? I have already told these are once again the set of enzymes which is going to join the two cut DNA fragments. One enzyme is going to cut the DNA sequence and other enzyme is going to join the DNA sequences in order to get the new combination known as recombinant DNA. So all these are the tools of recombinant DNA technology. If you miss out any of this tool, then your procedure will not be complete. It is going to be incomplete. You are not going to get the multiple copies of the recombinant DNA. So ultimate goal of recombinant DNA is you are going to produce multiple copies of the gene of interest, and this gene of interest will code for the desired product. So it could be a medicine or it could be any other product that is useful for human beings, right? Like in case of plants, in case of agriculture, you are going to get the high rich vitamin content food materials also. Only it is all based on the gene of interest. To get the gene of interest, these are the tools that are used to construct the recombinant DNA technology. So we are going to see one by one in detail. The tools one by one we are going to see in detail. The first one we are going to see is restriction enzymes. What are these restriction enzymes? Restriction enzymes are the enzymes that is going to cut the DNA sequence at specific positions. Right? Restriction enzymes are those enzymes which is going to cut the DNA sequence at specific locations. And these restriction enzymes belong to the class called as nucleases. Restriction enzymes belong to the class called as nucleases. So, in general, nucleases are those enzymes which is going to cause the cleavage of the DNA, or that is going to cause the cleavage of the polynucleotide chain. So, the polynucleotides we have two types, DNA and RNA, right? So, in that once again you have different types of these nucleases, DNases, RNases, enzymes that is going to cleave the DNA, they are known as DNases, and the enzymes that is going to cleave the RNA are known as RNases. So, the ones that is going to cleave the DNA, those enzymes are known as nucleases. Right? Now, so these restriction enzymes belong to the class nucleases. Now, the nucleases are of once again two types. One is restriction endonucleases or. So, once again the nucleases are divided into two types. That is restriction endonucleases or restriction enzymes, and other one is exonucleases. Now, what are these restriction endonucleases? As the word itself says, endonucleases. Okay? What do you mean by endonucleases? The major differences between the restriction endonucleases and exonucleases is that restriction endonucleases are the enzymes that is going to cleave the DNA sequence in between or internally. So, restriction endonucleases are those enzymes which are going to cleave the DNA sequence internally. Whereas, restriction or exonucleases are those enzymes that is going to cleave the DNA sequence at the terminals, or you can say at the ends of the DNA sequence, such as at 5' end or 3' end. They are known as exonucleases. Restriction endonucleases are those enzymes which is going to cleave the phosphodiester bond and internally. Exonucleases is going to cleave the phosphodiester bond at the terminal ends. Right? Now, in our study in the recombinant DNA technology, we are going to cleave the gene of interest from the source DNA using the restriction endonucleases, or if you want to attach the gene of interest to the vector DNA, again you are going to cleave the vector DNA. So once again we are going to use the in between, you are going to create the space using these restriction endonucleases. So restriction endonucleases are widely used in the recombinant DNA technology. So we will see these restriction endonucleases in detail. Restriction endonucleases were first discovered by Werner Arber and Matthew Meselson. It was first discovered by Werner Arber and Matthew Meselson in the year 1963. So where did they found these restriction enzymes? So when they were performing their experiment, they have isolated two enzymes from the E. coli bacteria. Two enzymes were isolated from E. coli bacteria, and in that one enzyme is known as methyltransferase. They have isolated two enzymes from E. coli bacteria. In that one enzyme was methyltransferase, whereas another enzyme is known as restriction enzyme. So two they have isolated. The function of this methyltransferase is it is going to add the methyl groups to the DNA sequence. So when the DNA is replicated, later it is going to perform certain processes. It is undergoing certain processes. In that one process is known as DNA methylation. So for that particular process, this methyltransferase is going to add the methyl groups to the DNA sequence. Based on the capping or covering of this methyl groups, the activity of the DNA sequence is going to be varied. Right? So that is one enzyme they have isolated. Another enzyme is the restriction endonuclease. They found in the bacteria that the bacteria was producing this restriction endonucleases as a part of its defense mechanism. As a part of its defense mechanism in order to destroy its foreign bodies entering into the bacteria. Okay. So it used this restriction endonuclease is going to cut the DNA sequence of the bacteriophages. These are the viruses that are invading into the bacterial cells. So this restriction endonucleases got the capacity to cut the DNA sequence of the bacteriophages that are invading the E. coli bacteria. So they have studied that, so this has a capacity to cut the DNA sequence. So a particular DNA sequence is going to code for a particular protein, and a particular protein is going to perform a specific function, right? For example, these bacteriophages, what they are going to do? They are going to invade into the bacteria and it is going to create its DNA by a process known as reverse transcription. If it is a RNA, is its genetic material, and then it is going to make these bacterial cells to produce the proteins that are required for the growth of this bacteriophages, right? So in order to defend to that, so the ultimate thing is what? The DNA is the responsible for the proliferation of bacteria, virus in the bacteria. Proliferation of the bacteriophages in the bacteria. So to prevent that proliferation or the multiplication of these viruses in the bacteria, the E. coli cells or the bacterial cells has the capacity to produce the restriction endonucleases, which is going to cleave the DNA sequence of the virus. If there is no DNA sequence, is denatured, it cannot code for any protein, and the proteins are not functional, and it cannot protect these viruses. It is going to destroy the viruses, or it is going to cause the destruction of these viruses. Hence, these restriction endonucleases were first found in E. coli cells by Werner Arber, and this enzyme that is isolated by this Werner Arber is a type 1 restriction endonuclease. So the Arbour, whatever the restriction endonuclease he has first discovered, it is belonging to type 1 restriction enzyme. Now we have seen the restriction enzymes. What are the restriction endonucleases? These restriction endonucleases are of once again 3 types. Nucleases are of 2 types. One is restriction endonucleases and other one is exonucleases. The restriction endonucleases or the restriction enzymes are of 3 types, that is type 1, type 2 and type 3. There are 3 types, that is type 1, type 2 and type 3. Now what is the difference between these type 1, type 2 and type 3? Type 1 are the set of restriction enzymes that is going to cleave the DNA sequence of 1000 base pairs away from the recognition site, and it is going to require ATP, the energy. Some processes require the energy in the form of ATP, whereas some processes does not require any energy. So the type 1 enzymes, the type 1 restriction enzymes are going to cleave the DNA sequence 1000 base pairs away from the recognition site. So the recognition sites, so we will be dealing with recognition sequences the features of the restriction endonucleases. Okay, so let me tell you what are the recognition sequences. Now the restriction endonucleases are very much specific in their function, right? They are going to recognize a particular sequence. So DNA is made up of the polynucleotide chain. It is made up of the nucleotides. So each nucleotide is once again having the nitrogenous base linked to a sugar group. Either it could, in the case of a DNA, it is a deoxyribose sugar, right? Now, once again, it is linked to a phosphate group. Together, it is forming one nucleotide, right? So, the DNA sequence is represented by its nitrogenous bases, right? Guanine, adenine, thymine, cytosine. The way of arrangement of these and their complementary bases, okay, we have seen already in the previous year. Okay, what is the structure of the DNA? Watson and Crick model we have seen. There is a purines are going to base pair with the pyrimidines to form the DNA sequence. So the length of the DNA sequence is in terms of the base pairs, such as 1000 base pairs or 400 base pairs. The number of nitrogenous bases and their pair together, it is going to form the length of the DNA sequence. So the type 1 restriction enzymes is going to cleave the DNA sequence 1000 base pairs away from the recognition sequence. So recognition sequence is nothing but this sequence the restriction enzyme is going to identify. Now there is a big length of the DNA sequence. It is made up of polynucleotide chain, many number of nitrogenous bases, but the enzyme where it is going to act is nothing but it is depending upon what sequence it is going to identify, right? That particular sequence is known as the recognition sequence. So the type 1 enzymes are going to act 1000 base pairs away from the recognition sequence, and these type 1 enzymes are going to use the ATP as energy. And we have type 2 restriction endonucleases, right? The first restriction endonucleases, the type 2 one was identified by Hamilton Othniel, a scientist known as Hamilton Othniel. He was the person who has isolated the first type 2 restriction endonuclease in the year 1970. In the year 1970, and its name is HIND2. Its name is HIND2. That is a type 2 restriction endonuclease. It was identified by Hamilton Othniel in the year 1970. Now this HIND2 or the simple endonuclease, and it doesn't use any ATP during its catalysis. Type 1 uses ATP, whereas type 2 doesn't use any ATP. and it was first isolated by Hamilton O'Connell in the year 1970. Another type we have type 3 endonuclease. We have type 3 endonuclease, that is, it is going to cleave the DNA sequence 25 base pairs away from the recognition sequence, and it requires ATP. Type 1 and type 3 requires ATP, but their cleavage from the restriction away from the recognition sequence is going to be vary. In case of type 1 it is 1000 base pairs, in case of type 3 it is 25 base pairs, but type 2 are the intermediate, they are going to cleave little away from the recognition sequence. Very near, little away from the recognition sequence, and they are the type 2 restriction endonucleases, and among these three, the type 2 restriction endonucleases are widely used for the recombinant DNA technology. So, the type 2, that is one of the example we have seen is HIND2. This HIND2 identifies specifically 6 base pair sequence and cuts the DNA sequence which is known as recognition sequence. Right? It is known as recognition sequence. Now almost there are 900 restriction enzymes. If you see the databases, almost 900 restriction enzymes are isolated from 230 strains of bacteria. Almost 900 of restriction enzymes are isolated from 230 strains of bacteria. So let us see now the features of these restriction endonucleases or the restriction enzymes. So there are, now for every enzyme will have certain features and certain qualities. They are not going to act upon all the DNA sequences, right? If they are able to act upon all the DNA sequences, then all the DNA present in the body will be denatured, and it is going to lead to lot of complex proteins will be formed, and is not a regulatory method, right? So our restriction endonucleases will have certain features. That is, the first is it is going to recognize the sequence known as recognition sequence. It is going to recognize the sequence known as recognition sequence. As the definition says that it makes cuts at specific positions within the DNA. Now what are those specific positions? The restriction endonucleases has the capacity to identify a particular length of base pairs of the DNA sequence, and those DNA sequences are known as recognition sequence. For example, here GAATTC. It is a 6 base pair sequence. So this HIND2 enzyme, whatever I have mentioned here in the type 2, one of the example of the type 2 endonucleases is a HIND2 enzyme. This HIND2 enzyme is going to recognize the 6 base pair sequence. It is going to recognize the 6 base pair sequence, and that 6 base pair sequence is known as a recognition sequence. So the HIND2 enzyme is going to recognize only the 6 base. There is one more enzyme known as EcoR1. There is one more enzyme known as EcoR1, even that is a restriction endonucleases, and its recognition sequence is GAATTC. So in the DNA sequence, it will only identify the sequence GAATTC only. Okay, and it is going to act upon that sequence only. So the first thing is what? The restriction endonucleases is going to inspect the length of the DNA sequence. It is going to see the length of the DNA sequence, right? Then it is going to, after looking at the length of the DNA sequence, it is going to identify its recognition sequences. That is specific to specific enzyme only. EcoR1 will identify only GAATTC only, but HIND2 is not going to identify the GAATTC. Right? So the GAATTC is a recognition sequence for the EcoR1 enzyme. So it is going to first inspect the length of the DNA sequence and find its specific recognition sequence. After it finds a specific recognition sequence, it is going to, and one more thing, the recognition sequences are palindromic in nature. It is in palindromic in nature. So usually restriction endonucleases have their specific recognition sequences, and those recognition sequences are palindromic in nature. So if you read the word from both the sides, it should the spelling will remain the same. For example, Malayalam. Right? If you read from either sides, it is going to remain the same. Similarly, the DNA sequences are also in palindromic in nature. Right? Either you read from 5' to 3' end or from 3' to 5' end. The orientation of the reading you are going to keep it same. They are known as palindromic sequences. It is a sequence of base pairs that reads the same on the two strands. See, if you